There's reactions like
Yeah.
this? Okay. So you've got to 7:30, so I want to make sure I got all this water part done by 7:30. That's 40 minutes, it's plenty.
Right.
So I'll get into that.
Okay. Go ahead.
This little group here is not really representative of what's going on with this water all around the world.
Right.
About 4,000 people in the United States get a machine every month, and you can't fool people with the price tag on the top machine. There's different machines, but you can't fool that many people with that kind of price tag if something wasn't going on. Mm-hmm. It's all over the world. To be honest, whether you're evolution or creation, this is the water. Ionized water is what has been around since the beginning of time, either way whichever belief system you come from. If you look at glacial streams, this ionization process is a natural process. There's a Hunza tribe that lives up in the Himalayas at the glacial source, and you can Google them. They live long and well. Their water is naturally ionized, which means it has a natural electrical charge. It has high alkaline minerals, and it has a different structure, which we've come to call microclustering. So it's been around forever.
Right.
Michael Faraday, pretty famous scientist in the 1800s, learned how to start using this process to split water. Mm-hmm. Like this says right here, alkaline and acidic waters through electrolysis. Faraday discovered that. Right. The Russians played around with it over 100 years. The Japanese took the research, and in the 60s, it went straight into the hospitals in Japan. 45 years ago, in 1966, the Japanese Ministry of Health, first of all, puts it in the hospitals. Second of all, says this is a medical system. And third of all, said this is beneficial for medical and health use.
Right.
Just based on all the research and these special waters around the world, all this system does is duplicate nature.
Right.
The natural process of ionization in nature and alkalinization and very small water molecule clusters. So they have these in the hospital. In '74, Mr. Oshiro, who was the owner of this company, who I've met a few times, he decides this has got to go into the homes, and he buys the patent and sacrifices really him and his wife to get this company off the ground way back in 72, 3, 4.
Right.
In 74 they have a system that's small enough to go in a kitchen.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, like the first year or two, 300,000 units are sold through the whole country. Today 1 in 6 homes has one in Japan. In the States here we're only 1 in 18,000. But these properties we can demonstrate, and then we can kind of explain why would the body respond. That was a really good point you made. Why would the body respond to these properties? The other interesting thing about these properties is if you have raw organic fruits and vegetables or juices that you freshly juice, you will have an electrical charge. And I gotta see where that I gotta get my meter. Sorry, Dan. I gotta get my meter out of that strong water for a second. I'm gonna switch this meter. This meter will show you the charge on some of these waters in a minute. Mm-hmm. But if you put that meter in a freshly squeezed special juices and fruits and things, it measures an electrical charge. It has alkaline minerals. Any good piece of fruit or vegetable has alkaline minerals, and the water will hydrate. So glacial water, raw organic fruit and vegetables, and the Kangen water, that's the thing they have in common. The closer you can, since we're made from the earth, or we came from earth, the closer you can stay to it, the more healthy you're going to be. I mean, it's very common sense. You can eat a can of beans, or you can eat the beans off the garden.
this group of people is not doing very well on that in America. The people who do it from the bush or that eat it raw and fresh and organic or whatever, it's either sickness or health. It's the same with water. This one here, we send to the troops in Iraq by the ton. Dasani, it's a processed water, just like a can of pea beans is a processed bean. Canned beans, canned water. They come back with kidney stones because the water's so acidic, and on top of the stress which they have and we have, the more acidity we do, the more wrong things are going to show up. And I did not know that. I've been doing nutrition for 10 years out of necessity. I take a lot of supplements, but I didn't even know the basic pH, that alkalinity was essential. So the closer you stay to the earth with your food and with your water the way it was intended to be, the more the body can do what it's supposed to do, and that's be well. As soon as we go to processed foods and boxed foods and whatever, or canned and junk, the body starts to break down, and the more we stay with fresh and raw and water like it was supposed to be, fresh and alive, the body can be well. It's really very simple, and it happens every day. It's just a system. Sickness is a system, health is a system, and it works every time. So before even the Japanese get going, scientists are studying this stuff. I mean, some of the smartest nutritionists even were back in this era. Shackley, Royal Lee, who you've probably not heard of, but you heard of Shackley and different ones. Warburg gets a Nobel Prize, 1931, and the work he did was on the metabolism of tumors. That was a paper that got the Nobel Prize. What does the metabolism of tumors mean? What does that mean actually?
How fast it goes through.
How quick they metastasize?
Well, yeah, but how does a tumor grow? He got a Nobel Prize because he found out. He found out that it had to do with respiration of cells, acidic tissues, and low oxygen. An acidic system goes with a low oxygen system. An alkaline system goes with a high oxygen system. And it's also, even if you're not a scientist, it's so simple. Like Faraday already knew, he reiterated, water will split into H and OH. H2O will be split into H and OH. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the more OH in the H2O, the more O, which means the more oxygen. So that's why we seem to get addicted to this water, because we're addicted to oxygen. We can't go very far without it, right? So it's really, really simple and basic. You can go really deep into it, but the basics are what we'll show tonight. Even the blood pH, which has to stay the same, has to stay between 7.36 and 7.45. It's called homeostasis.
So balance.
Balance. The body will do whatever it has to, and it's an innate design, or a divine design. The body will do whatever it has to do to keep the blood in that range. It'll take minerals from the bones and the teeth and the tissues to keep the blood right there. But even that thin, narrow range of 7.36 to 4.5, at 7.45, which is more alkaline, there's 64% more oxygen in the blood than at the 7.36. So there's a big difference in a very small range. It's like the Richter scale. We had like 20 earthquakes. Did you guys have that here too?
Yeah.
2 weekends ago? 1 point on the Richter scale is like 10 times the magnitude, and it's the same on the pH scale. Each point is times 10. And so the body has to be here. The blood will always be right at that 7.36 or so, but the interstitial fluids, or the water in the cells and around the cells, depending what you ate last night or drank last night or drank today or your stress level will depend where you fluctuate in here. If there are things going wrong in the body, you can rest assured that the water in the body is not where it needs to be. And you can just test that so easily with pH strips. Yes?
Well, basically everything that you're putting into your body is an acidic level at some point. Unless it's, chock full of antioxidants, which is...
Oh, well, absolutely. But even if things burn acid, there are alkaline minerals in some of the things that help to make us alkaline. You know that. So most people, I think, and you can tell, you just pee on a pH strip in the morning or spit, and you will tell where you come out.
Shows where your ketones are.
Pardon me? It's different than measuring ketones, but do you do that?
I used to.
Okay,
I
for
used to
weight
teach aerobics.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Bottom line, without getting too in deep tonight to keep it brief, if there's something going wrong in the body, you can rest assured that there's an acidic situation. It's one of the most simplistic root causes of sickness and disease. And that's why it's, again, a no-brainer. The high alkaline things that we should be eating are spinach and broccoli and green tea and apples and carrots and cabbage. These are what are highly alkaline in mineral content. Even if it's a lemon that has citric acid, there's alkaline minerals that help alkalize you. And it's no big surprise to look at the wrong end of the spectrum. It's soft drinks and dairy and pasta and pastries and beef, and it's not like I don't eat any of these things. But each day we decide which way we tip the scales. And if we tip it long enough in the wrong direction, there's going to be trouble like Warburg 80 years ago. This is what cancer, or it's not even just cancer, it's joint trouble, digestive trouble, fibromyalgia, arthritis, acid reflux, anything you want to name, it grows in an acidic environment, and that's just one of the roots, okay? So let's look at that. You've seen some clips, haven't you, Dan? Or video or DVD? And you all have not, right? Okay.
Nope, never. First time someone tried to sell me on water.
Like when people say, oh, it's just water.
Well, my sister-in-law went to school for water. For the
Really?
state, yeah, and does water testing throughout the state of Kansas.
Wow.
For the state.
Really?
So yeah, I've seen the test strips and all that stuff, so I understand
Cool.
principally what you're doing.
So do you all recognize these delightful beverages up here?
Mm-hmm. What's in the cobalt bottle? I like that.
That's going to be our water.
Oh.
So you know the one in the middle?
It's the placebo.
No, the one all the way to the right.
Oh, the one on the right. What's in the middle bottle?
So it goes Aquafina, Dasani, Propel. So
Like a
What's Propel?
Gatorade,
Oh,
like a Gatorade drink.
I'll show you one more thing. What we're talking about tonight is so much bigger than the water or the machine. We just had this author in Tulsa because we're blowing up that city with health. You were there, right?
Yeah, that was
Where?
good.
Tulsa, that's where I live. It's so much bigger than the water. There's 10 or 12 things in this book which just have been around like the water since the beginning of time. Things that one would do just as nutrition, or you can call it prevention. Or if someone has cancer, you would do the same thing to help balance the body. 10 or 12 different recipes and different chlorella and so on and so forth. And he doesn't work with us, but one of his chapters is drinking electrolyzed ionized water could save your life. But it's so much bigger. Any of you heard the statistics lately of what the government says is happening and will happen with cancer in this country? Anybody know what number it is now?
It's like 50%, right?
It's 1 in 3, they say, are and will be facing cancer in their lifetime. So I'm a naturopath. I've been doing nutrition for years, and I can get changes in bodies with nutrition. Thyroid, adrenal, pancreas, blood sugar, joints, brain health, whatever. But I can get more done with 2 gallons of water than trying to get someone to spend quite a bit of money on supplements that most people don't want to eat every day. Dr. Shinya, 60s, develops the colonoscopy and the polypectomy. I've heard him speak. He doesn't even treat a patient without putting them on the water and changing their diet. And he's never, with dealing with polyps and colon situations and cancers, he's never had one that got it back, because they did this and the water and got balanced and hydrated. There's another medical doctor, Batmanjali MD. You're not sick, you're thirsty. Don't treat thirst with medication. This is one of my favorites, Dr. Corrine Allen, probably the foremost nutritional expert on natural brain health in the country. Has a brain clinic where they see people turn around and get their life back. People with autism, brain traumas, pardon me?
Palsy.
Almost anything. And the water, again, it's only one piece of the puzzle, but it's the foundation, because the brain is 85% water and the body's 75, and depending what part it is, it can go to 90. So it's so much bigger than the water. But let's take a look at the water and the pH here.